Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great.
Okay,
Oh,
so
all right, yeah, you got that.
do you guys want to start off by introducing yourselves?
Yeah. I'm Sanjay. I'm a sophomore programmer on 7477.
I'm Sam.
I'm Young. This is my fourth year on FTC, and I'm also on Team Super 7.
My name's Samuel. It's my second year, and I'm on hardware and design for Team 7477.
And my name is Rashant. I'm also on hardware and design. This is my second year.
And I'm AJ. I'm the program delivery partner for First Tech Challenge in the state of Florida and a global key volunteer for technology for First Tech Challenge.
So, our first question was, due to like the huge changes of like rules this season, how do you think it's gonna affect like a lot of the rookie teams and like moreover like the veteran teams?
Yeah, so let's break it down into a few chunks and talk about advancement first, because that's probably the biggest change. It's the one we highlighted in our kickoff broadcast. So for those who aren't aware, this year First is introducing a new way to decide who moves on from one level of tournament to the next. So for us, that's from our league tournaments to the Florida Championship, and from the Florida Championship to the World Championship in Houston, First Championship, and Premier events. Previously, in the competition manual, there was a table. It was table 4-1, I think, and it just had a list of achievements of who would advance in order. And however many slots you had, that's how far down the list you went. And this worked okay. It took the Inspire Award winner every time. It took the Winning Alliance captain every time. It recognized the teams who achieved the top results in both judging and the robot game and worked its way down from there. And that was a pretty good system. But what we found over time was there were teams that maybe they did really well in one, either judging or the robot game, did really well in one or the other, and they were advancing. And there were other teams that were pretty solid in both that were not advancing because they got maybe an award that was lower down on the list, or they didn't quite make it to be like the captain of the Winning Alliance, for example. So the new point system that takes everything you do during the day and adds up a bunch of points to make sure that, or to reward you for everything that your team accomplishes, and then takes the teams with the most amount of points. This is going to reward teams that focus on both judging and robot game.
Mm-hmm.
You will have teams that maybe you're really good in judging and you're struggling in the robot game this season. You may not end up with as many points as a team that does pretty well in both. I don't want to say that this is going to definitely affect rookie teams or veteran teams in any particular way, but it's definitely going to change your strategy. And if you're a veteran team and you're used to doing things a certain way and spending your time in certain areas throughout the season, you should take this opportunity to rethink that and evaluate whether you need to be spending more times in a different area. Just because any time you change the way you measure something, a different strategy will help you get the best out of it.
Right.
So that's advancement. There are a few other major changes that some of which I don't know that people are quite aware of yet. For example, there is no more field inspection, at least in official terms. It's just inspection. And if you're in the volunteer community, you will be a robot inspector. That's the only inspection related title that's involved now. There's no more field inspector or field inspection process. But what we have in its place is practice matches. And we have yet to decide exactly how this is going to look at our events here in Florida. But the idea coming from First headquarters is that instead of taking everyone to the field and completing field inspection and going through this very formal process and calling it inspection, just play a match. Whether it's scheduled, where you actually get a practice match schedule and you go onto the field at a particular time, or if it's unscheduled and you sign up for a slot as soon as you're ready. Without needing to be done with inspection, you can go to the field, participate in a match, practice the full flow from queuing to getting on the field, playing the match, and getting off the field. The real thing. And do that instead of kind of doing it in field inspection.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
So I think that's going to be really great for rookie teams, especially who, you go through field inspection and you may be a little bit nervous because it's called inspection. It sounds scary, but it doesn't need to be. It can just be a practice match. It doesn't count. If you don't do well, that's fine. It doesn't count for advancement points or anything like that. And it's just going to be, I think, a better time for everyone all around.
Thank you for your feedback on that. This kind of ties into what you were talking about earlier, but how do you think like the new advancement system with like the ranking points and such, how do you think that's going to affect how teams like balance their robot performance and like their outreach or award submissions?
Yeah, the best thing you can do is do both. I think for a lot of teams, especially if you are in a league that doesn't have as many advancement slots because you're in a smaller league, or you're in a First Tech Challenge region that doesn't have as many advancement slots to Worlds because the region is smaller. In either of those cases, there's a lot less pressure because you don't necessarily have to be first place Inspire Award winner to guarantee your slot. And you don't have to be the captain of the winning alliance to guarantee your spot. So if you just do your best in both areas, that's a really good strategy. And you don't have to spend all of your time deciding, well, I mean, we've done some outreach, but is it enough to be first place Inspire? And do we need to spend less time working on the robot so that we can get to that point? That discussion hopefully isn't involved anymore. And it'll be a lot easier to say, yeah, do a little bit of both, do your best in both, and that's your best chance to move on.
Thank you for your feedback.
Yeah,
Sean.
that's interesting. Do you think teams will be able to see their advancement points during events, and how will ties be handled?
That's a good question. We don't know yet how accessible it will be. Like, right now you can go onto FTC events and see your ranking throughout the day. I don't know if it will be that accessible to see your advancement points throughout the day. We'll have to see when the first official version of the scoring system comes out, which I believe is like October 23rd or something around that time. That'll be our first chance to see how that works. And I assume not everything will be super visible at the beginning of the season, which is okay for us because we have league meets and it doesn't really matter because you're just establishing your league ranking there and you're not going through judging. But maybe later in the season, it'll become a bit more visible and a bit more obvious where you stand. And hopefully it'd be cool if you could go on to FTC events and see everything real time. The good news is when it comes to the majority of the day during your league tournament, it's pretty simple because you're only getting points from the qualification matches that you play. And it's based on your qualification match ranking, which is already very visible. Once we get into the playoffs, it gets a little more complicated because you've got the alliance selection and the playoff round points starting to come in. And obviously, the real chunk of points coming in at the end will be the presentation of the awards. And that will move a lot of people a whole lot right at the end of the day.
Thank you for that. Are there any aspects of this year's game that you think teams might overlook, but they could those aspects could be really important to this game?
It's a good question because the technical part of this game, getting something into the goal, that's pretty tough, right? That takes a lot of focus and a lot of tuning and a lot of iteration throughout the season. So I think it would be easy to forget the the gameplay strategy, especially if you are working as an individual team and you don't have other teams around you that you can practice with. There's a whole aspect of this game of spotting, like, hey, is that other team from the other alliance currently in a protected zone? Or am I in a protected zone from the other alliance? And is that team coming over and about to make contact with my robot? I think people will be surprised when they get to their first league meets and their first events to learn just how much that comes into play. Because you can drive pretty much wherever you want on this field, but the moment there are other robots from the other alliance nearby, you have to be so careful really quickly.
Thank you for that.
So how like first tech challenge in Florida, and like this doesn't just like apply to Florida, like pretty much every single region. How would it like gather feedback from teams to see like how the new system's like working, and like if the teams like it? So how would like feedback be gathered for that?
Yeah, it's a good question. And frankly, we can do whatever works for us. I'm coming in, this is my very first season as program delivery partner. So to a certain extent, we can figure out what channels and methods of feedback work best for us as a state now. You can always reach out to me by email, and every coach will definitely have my email because I am constantly sending out newsletters, and they'll just need to find the last newsletter that they received and reply, and that's all you have to do. So you're always welcome to do that. But I also want to make sure that teams are taking the opportunity to share feedback with their local leagues as well, because the majority of the time you spend in First Tech Challenge in Florida is at events and with communication that's planned by your local league leaders. So they have a huge opportunity to make your experience better, and they don't always know how to do that. And so your candid, constructive, kind feedback to them, using presumably the email addresses that every coach will have access to based on your local league newsletters, is a great place to start.
Got it. So like going off that, what do you think like the biggest mistake that like a lot of teams will make during the season? And do you think like because of the new like rule system, will there be any like flukes that'll happen or yeah?
Flukes compared to previous years, but I think it's part of the design. So I'm pretty sure this was included in the blog post from First announcing the new advancement structure. And hopefully I'm not misquoting it, but there could be, for example, a situation in which the Inspire Award winner at an event does not advance to the next event. This is an exceedingly small chance thing that could happen, but it is possible with this new point system. So some teams would consider that to be a fluke, but that is by design. And the point system is weighted in such a way that this will not happen very often, and it will only happen if exceptional things occur. But you should be aware that that is a possibility, and it may surprise some teams. Another thing that may surprise some teams is if you are the captain of an alliance in the playoffs and you get pretty far in the playoffs, your partner, your first pick, may advance before you. Again, this is a situation that this is a little more likely to happen, but it's still not going to happen all the time. But because you are adding up points both from the robot game and awards, if your alliance partner gets the first place in an award and you get a second or third place award, they may have more points than you and advance before you, even though you were the captain of the alliance. That, again, some teams might consider that to be a fluke. It's by design because it's supposed to be this holistic view of your performance throughout the day, but it may surprise some teams.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of surprising.
So I have a question that's more like it's like relating to you more. So like what inspired you to get involved with First and eventually become Florida's PDP? Like, what's the whole background behind that?
I volunteered at my first event in 2008. It's like November 15th, 2008. I always remember that day. And I was a participant on an FRC team. So I, went to the Orlando Regional multiple years and did that whole thing. I was also a participant on a First Lego League team back in the day, way back in the day. And so I understood First, and with First Tech Challenge specifically, I realized early on that I wanted to be a volunteer. It wasn't necessarily the program I wanted to participate in. It's one that I wanted to volunteer in because I looked around at some point and I saw the volunteers who were showing up to the events that were hosted at my high school. And they were pretty cool people. And I recognized in them that they were engineers. They were working in industries that I was interested in. And I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to get to know them, hang out, that sort of thing. So I started out volunteering with First Tech Challenge and just never stopped. And the friends, the community that I made throughout that is what keeps me here. The amazing mentors who encouraged me to keep with it, to grow my skills, to take on new volunteer roles, they are absolutely the reason why I'm here today. Now, I don't think anyone plans to be a program delivery partner necessarily. At least here in Florida, we've had 3 program delivery partners now. I am the third. The program was started by someone named Michael Coleman, who is someone I really respect and is definitely a mentor to me. I can't say enough things about him, so I will stop there. And he started and grew this program and grew it to a point where we needed leagues because we had so many teams and so many events that one person couldn't necessarily manage it all anymore. He passed the program over to Hans Wolf, who for over 10 years now has been the program delivery partner and grew it from that initial set of leagues to the now, we'll see how many teams register this year, but over 200 teams registered, which is incredible. And a Florida championship that has 56 teams and dual division with 8 matches being played. That's really cool. He got us through the COVID years. And then when he decided to retire, it's like, well, no one's ever prepared to take on a role like this. And it's a lot of work, don't get me wrong. But it's like, well, I want to take the next step. I want to continue to be involved, and this is a great way to do so. So I submitted my name and my organization as a candidate to be the program delivery organization. Here we are. Long answer, but that's how we got here.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Pretty cool. Well,
And
anyways.
maybe it would be helpful. I don't know that everyone understands like the region structure for First Tech Challenge. So
Yeah.
if you're up for it, I can just like give a quick overview for like
Oh,
how
yeah.
First does this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
That would be
Yeah.
Yeah, so First obviously has multiple programs, and we're involved with First Tech Challenge. First Tech Challenge divides the world up into regions. Here in the US, regions are normally states. They use states as the boundary. Outside of the US, they may be states or provinces. They could be countries or geographical regions that might include multiple countries. And every region has a program delivery organization. This is usually a nonprofit organization that First has identified and trusts to make First Tech Challenge happen in that region. One way or another, whatever it takes, make events happen. And every program delivery organization names an individual called a program delivery partner. And that individual is the one person who is accountable for making sure that First Tech Challenge events happen the way that they're supposed to in that region. It's not really important, the details of what a PDP does, but they're the individual who has access to all of the information from first about all the teams that have registered, and they're in charge of making sure that those teams have an opportunity to play and advance to the World Championship. The one thing that you have to do as a PDP is host a regional championship, in our case, the Florida Championship. So you've got this structure where you have a single organization and a single individual who are responsible and accountable for making things happen. Now, here in Florida, we have a league system. So I'm incredibly lucky that I have a big community of volunteers, key volunteers, league administrators, everyone who's involved all around the state who actually make the program happen. Because there's no way that I could do it as an individual. No one person could. So we're so lucky here in Florida that we have so many people who are willing to dedicate their time and efforts to make it actually happen at the league level. And I am so grateful to them, and I hope teams are as well.
It's a like pretty big like structure but it is like around like 7,000 teams, right? So
yeah, it's I think in terms of raw numbers, First Tech Challenge, no one compares to First Lego League in terms of sheer number of teams, but
yeah.
First Tech Challenge is growing really quickly. And I don't know the numbers from last season, but definitely over 7,000 for sure.
Speaking of growth, how many teams do you think are going to register for next season?
Next season, I don't know. First, we'll have goals in mind, and there are people actively working to try and recruit new teams for sure. I can actually pull up the stats of where we are right now. As of today, we have 185 teams that have completed registration. We're still pretty early, and teams generally don't necessarily finish that process until we get to around meet 1. So middle of October, I expect will be over 200, probably between 220 and 240 teams. That's a lot. And
Yeah.
next year, who knows? If I'm hoping, I will hope for over 250.
That's crazy.
It's a lot of people.
It is. Some of our leagues are getting really big.
I have a question. What qualities do you think judges look for most in award-winning teams beyond robot performance?
It's a good question. There is an element of it that is, we'll start from the outside and work our way in. There's part of it that's your ability to present. How prepared you are for your structured interview, and whether you're able to get across the points that matter for whatever award you are going for. That you have read the rubric, that you know which parts of your accomplishments you need to emphasize in order to make the judges confident that you deserve the award. So there's a presentation aspect of it. But beyond that, it really depends on the award that they're considering. And judges have a really difficult task taking all of the teams that they've seen in a day and nominating them for a bunch of different awards that all have different criteria. And for example, this year, those criteria changed with the Motivate Award being split into 2 different awards. So every year you have to really, both as a team and as a volunteer judge, you have to really go through those award descriptions and the criteria that are published by First, make sure you understand them, and then to the best of your ability, when you get into that deliberation room, you're just matching the things that you saw and the things you learned about the teams to the awards that First has set out before you. It's not easy, but as you go through the list of awards, that the conversation changes, and you have to consider a lot of different things as you go down the list.
Mhm. So like going more into the like season game, what do you think is gonna be like the most challenging part?
I do hope not necessarily here in Florida, but someone somewhere, I hope, has a robot that does something similar to what was in the game animation.
Uh,
This is a dated reference, but someone referred to it as go-go gadget legs, where like the wheels just extended down and they drove over another robot. I hope someone does that or something like that, right? Because that'd be cool.
Yeah,
But
that'd be fun to see.
in general, I think trying to fit two robots into that base zone is going to be really fun. I hope that as teams you do so carefully. Please don't break your alliance partner as you attempt to do this. But I hope by the end of the season, when we have our league tournaments here in Florida, we get to see some teams attempting that.
yeah. I feel like the main like risk part of that is like the robot underneath the elevated robot. What if the elevated robot just like gives out and like
Yeah.
that's like the scary
And at
part.
the end of the match, you're going to hit stop. And what happens then when all of your motors lose power? Yeah, that's it's important.
Yeah.
Got to plan for that. Yeah,
Mhm.
please don't break anyone's robot attempting to do this. But I hope teams give it a try.
Mhm.
By like what league meet do you think like a majority of the robots would be going for this ascent? Like the crazy ascent?
Boy, I don't know. Um, this is like probably my favorite part of having a league model here in Florida is getting to see how everyone evolves and iterates over time. In league meet one or your scrimmages, I hope to see, you know, robots that operate and score and everything like that. That's perfect league meet one material, right? Just get some points on the board. You have an opportunity to win some matches and start establishing your league ranking. And I hope that teams will approach that knowing that there's not so much pressure. You don't have to have every part of the game solved by the time League Meet 1 comes around. By the league tournament, I hope that there are teams in every league that have attempted and have a solution for every part of the game. But that's just like me selfishly. I want to see it happen because I'm curious how teams are going to solve certain aspects of this game. That's not like a program level, like I demand to see it or anything like that. I want to see what you come up with.
Yeah.
And just I say that knowing that, again, hopefully when you're going to your league tournament, you don't feel too much pressure to perform absolutely everything. Because you know what? You may be paired with a robot that is constructed in a way that you really should not climb on top of it, because that's a risk and you don't want to damage someone else's robot. That's just one example, but there are always situations in which your plan for how to approach a game challenge just might not work out, and that's okay. You should be flexible and just go with the flow during the day. But hopefully we get to see some really cool and high scoring matches by the end.
Yeah.
I had a question about like advice. Like, what type of advice, like one piece of advice, like what would you give to all Florida FTC teams competing in this year's challenge?
Last year, a lot. This year, a little bit. Things keep changing.
Mhm.
I'm here as a program delivery partner. That's a big change for me, not so much for everyone else. But first, headquarters has a lot of changes that they're pushing through the system. And whether you are a rookie team just starting out or a veteran team trying to adjust to everything that has changed, whether you realize it's changed or not, the best way for you to prepare for everything that's happening is to find mentors for your team, engineering mentors, outreach mentors, folks who have done this before or who are willing to spend a lot of time reading through the requirements and figuring out what to do. But also taking every opportunity to get those mentors and members of your team to volunteer at events. because there is no better way to be prepared for something like robot inspection than to have hopefully multiple people on your team who have been an inspector, whether they are an engineering mentor on your team that can be a robot inspector and certify in the role, or whether it's a member, a participant on your team who can shadow a robot inspector and see the inspection from the other side. That will get you further and make you more prepared for that day.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be inspector. It can be any volunteer role.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I have my final question for you. So, how do you balance supporting rookie teams and veteran teams at the same time? How would you say like the fairness between them would be?
I'm curious what you mean by fairness.
Like regarding the advancement system, like how you were explaining earlier, like how rookie like veteran teams have like a unique way of solving like the every year's challenge. Like, how would you say like first supports the rookie and veteran teams?
Everyone, at the end of the day, everyone learns the game at the same time. So that's one aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course. I think if you are a rookie team coming in, I'd look at it from a little bit of a different perspective, because I think a lot of teams come in and they want to win, and that's great. That's a good goal. But if you are a rookie team, especially if you are a rookie team that has younger members, there is so much to learn and so many things to try in First Tech Challenge. I don't think necessarily trying to be the Winning Alliance captain is the best goal to have. And we've definitely seen rookie teams come in and do extremely well. So I'm not saying it's off the table, but if you have a new coach, if you have new mentors, if you have new students just entering the program, there's so much more to do other than focus on getting to the top. You have an opportunity in First Tech Challenge to build something new and to figure out what it means to go through the engineering design process. And my goal as someone involved in a rookie team would be to find as many people as possible to help you learn the secrets of doing that. And this is an area where I think the awards that First gives have great incentives involved. Because if you're a veteran team on the other side, maybe your primary goal is to get to the top. But along the way, you have an opportunity to mentor your local rookie teams and make sure that they're getting the foundation they need to have the best season possible. And in doing so, you are also helping yourself. It's okay to be a little bit selfish and not 100% altruistic on this. You as a veteran team have an opportunity to improve your engineering portfolio and your standing for awards by giving genuine help to other teams around you. Those incentives are there, and I think we need to really focus on that to help grow the program long term.
Thank you for that. Well, I think this is it. If anyone has any more questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, AJ.
Yeah. I'll see you at an event soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye.